Okay, we are back. I am still watching Teen Wolf. I just watched the Motel California episode, which, if you have not watched it, you have not known trauma. Wow. Like I said in one of my other videos, I have watched Teen Wolf before, like when I was a teenager. I'm now 23. So I remember like the overall gist of things and like, major plot points, but I don't remember details or like specific things from episodes. I knew this episode was coming, but it was still like I couldn't really remember anything about it other than the fact that it was like a weird motel and like the end scene with Scott. I don't want to like go there and spoil it. But yeah, oh my god, that episode had no business being that terrifying and that like vibey. It had no business freaking 14-year-old me out. Like, absolutely not. And it still freaked 23-year-old me out. I love that kind of horror. It's probably my favourite horror ever. The surreal, dreamlike hallucination horror where you don't really know what's real and what's not. And I don't know, it just heightens that sense of like we're not safe. But it's also, I love surrealism, so it's also very like pleasing for me, like visually, and it's very vibey, even though I'm terrified. Like it's inducing a panic attack, but like in a vibey way. Anyway, that was a great start to the evening. Now I'm gonna speak about something that I don't know if that I've spoken about before. I feel like I always start a video off by being like, I think I've spoken about this before, but I don't know, I'm gonna talk about it again. As we've established, I tend to learn lessons and find out the hard way several times before the message actually sinks in. And you know what, as you learn and grow, you come into new ways of thinking and new perspectives. So even if I have spoken about this before, I might come up with new ways and metaphors of explaining it. So as I've been moving out of this freeze state and trying to move forward in a more grounded and honest way, and what I mean by that is just acknowledging my emotions and how I really feel rather than just freezing and put my mind permanently on autopilot. But as I've been trying to move out of this and just learning more about myself, the emotions that I'm currently feeling and what I want to do with my life, I've realized that I tend to get so overwhelmed with the idea of starting new things or even thinking about picking up something new. I think I tend to just get really ahead of myself. I do struggle with anxiety and it's something that I do experience on a daily basis. So I tend to be one of those annoying people who hate spontaneity. Like I love a plan. I love to know what I'm doing, what time we're leaving, what time we're going to get there, how we're going to get there. I don't really enjoy not knowing things or going somewhere new. I'm someone who has to get to a place like 10-20 minutes early, especially if I've never been there before. I think an aspect of that is that when me and my siblings were growing up, my mum was always very adamant about getting places on time, which is great and amazing. Like she always got us to places and appointments and events on time, which is amazing. Love my mum. But we would always arrive like ridiculously early to places and have to walk around the block a few times. But I think that kind of habit got ingrained to my brain, which is not a bad habit to get into, but I think just with my anxiety as well, I don't know, getting places early and I like to know where I'm going and all of that, which is so funny because I think my brother is kind of just quite chill about getting places. Like he's not ridiculously early, but he's not late or anything. My sister is very chill. She leaves places quite late, she gets ready like whatever. She shows up to places like just in time or like, kind of late but not really. Yeah, I just think it's really funny seeing how like the different ways that it all kind of separated in us, I guess, for lack of a better word. But my point is, I like a plan, I like to know what's going to happen. There is a very distinct part of my brain that is just always anxious and always freaking out. And I guess you could say it's like my ego or like the monkey part of my brain that is unsure and is just trying to protect me from things that it perceives as a threat. Except the threat is not really a threat, it's just like the unknown, which is very annoying to be honest, because life is literally all about the unknown happening. The unknown happens every day, like nothing is ever really set in stone. The overall comfort and safety we get from like routine and what's quote promised is just kind of an illusion, and everything is always up in the air if we really think about it. And everything could change and be different at any moment. But for some reason, God installed this absolute fear in me of change, and it sucks. because even just like a change of plans can send me into an absolute spiral that I quite honestly don't think is normal. It was Mother's Day on Sunday actually, and on the Saturday, my brother asked me if I wanted to go shopping with him just to pick up some Mother's Day stuff. And it actually sent me into quite like emotional like turmoil, for lack of a better. That sounds overdramatic, probably is overdramatic, but I can't think of like a better way to say it. A better way maybe would be like if I was a computer, I would have malfunctioned. I would have frozen. I would have been like, I don't know what we're doing. I would have had to restart. Because here's the thing, I have a plan for like my days, and I like to have a plan for my days. And even though I never really see my brother a lot, and I don't really get to spend time with him, and you know, he very obviously very kindly invited me to go shopping, I had to give myself like 10 minutes to get used to the idea, because it wasn't like a planned event in my brain, which sounds so weird. And like, I know it sounds weird, okay? But yeah, I did eventually go, but you see the problem, right? Like, I need like a loading time where like I need to get used to the idea of like being spontaneous, even though it was literally like a shopping trip. And I'm the absolute queen of self-reflection and like analysing my behaviour and why I do things. So I've come to the conclusion that even though I am just an anxious girly, and I will probably always be like this, I've realised that when I'm in a place in my life where maybe I've hit a bit of a wall, or I'm not doing well mentally, or I'm in a bit of a spot where I'm kind of unsure about where I'm going in life, which right now is where I'm at. I'm feeling kind of unsure about what's going on with my career and stuff like that. So it tends to get a bit worse with how I handle change, or the prospect of things changing, or newness, or just anything that feels like I don't know what the outcome is going to be, and everything just feels like it's a bit up in the air. Those are the times when, you know, I'm experiencing obviously a bit more stress or lack of stability. It's those times in my life, it tends to get a bit worse with my anxiety, because I'm basically just trying to control something, you know, or like have a sense of stability, have a sense of control, because deep down I feel like I don't actually have any control over anything, which I guess people argue that we don't really have any control over anything. But what I mean by this is just like, we can be proactive and make decisions to do certain things that will likely bring certain results or outcomes, which is what I tend to struggle with when I find myself in one of these slumps. I kind of go through this cycle of having an idea or coming across something that I enjoy or I want to do, and then I research it to try and discover what I need, what skills, what experience, you know, how to build up my confidence in this, how to build up maybe a portfolio or knowledge in a particular subject. And then I see how much there is to learn and know and get through. And then I start to feel really overwhelmed. Then I feel a bit stupid because I don't know any of this stuff, and it feels impossible that I'll ever be able to learn it all and be capable of seeing it through. And then, to make matters worse, what comes next in this cycle is comparing myself to others who are in the same area that I'm interested in, and just seeing how much they've accomplished and feeling so embarrassed for not being where they're at, feeling so overwhelmed by how much I've got to do to get where they are, feeling just so ashamed of myself for not knowing what they know, not being where they're at, not achieving as much as they've achieved. Especially when it's people that are like the same age as me or younger than me, I tend to carry this feeling of shame, and feeling like I haven't really done anything with my life, or that I'm completely behind in life. I also just compare what I've done and what sort of position I'm in currently in my career. So yeah, a lot of emotions of like shame and embarrassment can come up, which is obviously not great for self-confidence. So then again, when I'm looking at this new thing that honestly I am quite capable of learning and going into, but the negative emotions or beliefs about myself can twist the gravity of the situation so much and turn it into such a big thing, big and scary thing that it's not. So instead of me coming from it from a very logical and gentle perspective, I start to just assume and believe that I'm just incapable, that it will take too long, and that I'll waste time doing this thing that I probably won't even be very good at, that I'll just have wasted my time and my energy and have nothing to show for it, and I'll be even more of a failure. So I just kind of talk myself out of things, which is a real shame because deep down I know I am so capable of doing these things. And these are things that I want to do. I have so many skills and talents that I can put to good use, not to mention just my unique perspective and interests that I can bring to the table. But unfortunately, I kind of just fall into this trap of like the idea of time and wanting to not lose, quote, any more time, or feeling like I'm, quote, running out of time, or, you know, feeling like I'm not using my time wisely. So, at the sake of, quote, saving time or not losing time, I talk myself out of applying myself basically and investing in this thing that I love and I'm so excited about and want to learn, simply because it might not pay off, or it might go wrong, or there won't be any instant gratification. And, you know, for a while I'll just have to work at it for no results. And I think right now that's unfortunately the feeling and theme of my life, is that I feel very behind and I feel like I want to play, or I'm trying to play catch up, and I don't really know how to catch up. Even though in the grand scheme of things, I'm literally a baby, like there is no need to rush, there is plenty of time. But I just keep having this idea in my head that I'm behind and I need to catch up, and I want to catch up by yesterday, and I don't know how to get instant results and, you know, instant quote success to prove that, like, yeah, I deserve to be here, and, you know, I'm as good as my peers, and I'm, you know, a grown up. I think when approaching tasks or something new, I need to break it down into smaller tasks and just do what I can do. Follow that linear, logical way of approaching something, which is, you know, research, getting the facts, experimenting with things, working out what works for me and what doesn't. Also just making mistakes, because that's how you learn, and knowing that not everything has to be perfect, especially on the first try. If you don't try and you don't make mistakes, or not even mistakes, but just find that maybe something doesn't really work out, that's not a waste of time. That's not you getting it wrong. That's just collating data. And if you use it in a way that you reflect upon it and you review it and then you change stuff and you learn things from it, you can absolutely use that to your advantage. And that's not just for business, that's just something you have to do in life in general to learn and grow and become the person that you've always meant to be. But I'm not going to get anywhere if I just constantly do nothing and I don't try anything new and I just stick to the same thing, or, you know, I don't go after what I want just because it might not work out or it might be a waste of time. I think I just tend to really psych myself out and scare myself because I go all in and then I just freeze. Like, I research a topic or something that I want to do and I feel completely in over my head because I'm trying to do everything at once. And I'm not an expert, even though I shouldn't be, because I'm literally learning something new. I tend to research something and I see all these different things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this yet and I don't know what that means and I don't even have the equipment to do that and I have no idea who I can contact to help me out with that, and oh gosh, I couldn't possibly do that because I'm so bad at this and I don't like that bit and I suck because I don't know anything of this and I should just not even try or start at all. And it's like, okay, girly, deep breath, let's calm down. It's new and it's big, and yes, it's a little scary, but we don't have to do it all at once. We don't have to learn it in a day. Everything takes time, and the learning is a process, and it should be enjoyed. I think right now I tend to want to get to the finish line before I've even tied up my shoes, you know? Like, or I want to run the marathon even though I haven't even done any training. And then, I feel bad that I can't run a marathon even though I haven't trained. But then I beat myself up for it anyway because all these people are running a marathon and I can't, even though they've trained and I haven't. But I still beat myself up because it's like, well, I should just know how to run a marathon anyway. And like, my body should just deal with it, right? Like, why can't I just run a marathon? Like, I should have just popped out knowing how to run a marathon. And it's like, no, that is so diabolically unrealistic. But that is what I put myself through every time I want to go for a new opportunity or a new venture, or whenever I discover something that I think I might like to do. I think especially my ego struggles with the fact that I won't get instant gratification. And there's a part of me that perceives this as a risk because I don't know whether it will pay off. I'm at this weird stage in my career right now where I don't really know what's going to happen. And like I said, I do feel very behind. I know obviously that things take time. Like Rome wasn't built in a day and neither will my career be. But when I compare myself and start stressing about how I feel so behind and how I feel like such a failure and how I don't really have much to show for currently, my ego part of my brain, I guess, does feel very frustrated that I can't just, do one thing or post one thing or be an expert by tomorrow or gain all of this experience in a week and have just such a great portfolio that will make everyone want to hire me. Right now, I think that it's like my ego and my anxiety is that part of my brain that just wants to protect me, and it's kicking and screaming and throwing an absolute tantrum because all it wants is security and a guarantee and instant success and safety. But what I figured out is that I want to start chasing joy more and really just remember that to me, success is about joy and feeling good. And I know in the long run that if I just always let this doubt and this overwhelm win, I will feel extremely negative and uncomfortable because I never went after what I truly wanted and I wasted all of my amazing abilities and potential. I just really need to be more proactive and consistent about reminding myself just to put one foot in front of the other, and that's all I have to do. I don't have to know everything day one. I just have to start and be consistent, and that joyful feeling of doing something that I love every day, no matter how big or how small, that consistency will get me to where I need to be in the long term, but also just in the short term as well, because if I'm pursuing something that I love, it's going to bring me happiness in the moment as well as propel me towards more opportunities in the future. And just learning how to have that balance of having long-term goals and looking at my future and deciding what I want, but also being in the present and not getting so far ahead of myself that it becomes overwhelming is what I really am aiming towards right now, just that balance. I really just want to have fun and have aims and goals, but also build a life that I love, not just for myself years down the line, but for myself right now. And finding joy in the little things and in today is what I need to do. And I can't do that if I'm just constantly talking myself out of the things that give me joy and light me up. I also, just a little bit before I leave you, I was writing this script for this video. And then afterwards I did a bit of reading, and then before I worked out I just went on my phone for like a sneaky little TikTok scroll, and the first video that came up for me was posted by Claire Holt. I love her. She's an actress. I love the originals. Rebecca is like my queen. I love her. Played by Claire Holt. And she just randomly popped up on my FYP. I do follow her. And she just posted a video that was like, hey, like, do the thing that you want to do. Don't worry about it being embarrassing or new or scary or like making mistakes. Just like do the thing you want to do. And it was like so crazy timing. Like, I don't know if she just posted that or if it was like an old post or something. I didn't check. But I was like, that's so crazy that I just wrote like this whole thing about how I stopped myself from going to things, or I stopped myself from applying myself to things and stuff like that. And how I really am trying to like get out of it and do something new and trust myself and follow joy. And then the video that I see on TikTok, the first one that pops up is this woman who I admire and love so much telling me to like just go for it. Life is great. Life is a simulation. Do F around and find out. Things will turn out, right? So yeah, anyway, I've been yapping for far too long. You know the drill. I'm gonna let you go now, and I hope you have a great day, night, afternoon, evening, wherever you are.